And I did a survey, and I got like, I think I got 30 responses back from people who have been in interracial relationships or had been, and is the same thing, that they broke up because of the pressures from family. They couldn't maintain it because the family was saying that, you know, it's us or them. A lot of them had no ties with their family because they chose their partner, and I was heartbroken to know that this topic is still such a massive thing in our community, and it's such a stigma still, and even people use the word taboo, which I hate, because I'm just like, it's crazy for me to think this topic is so like rampant still in this day and age.
Welcome to the Blindian Street podcast, and today we have a special guest. Welcome Amrit. She is a personal coach on interracial relationships, Blindian relationships, and just mixed relationships as a whole. And we're super excited to have her here. Without any further ado, Amrit.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here today, first of all. Very excited to be on here. So I help mainly South Asian women in my coaching, with cultural and societal like expectations that are put on them. And for me, what I try and teach them is that having that connection, having that I call it a soul connection. So when I try to explain my relationship with people, about me and my partner, Lewis, who's African, I say that we have a soul connection, because people say that we chose to be in this relationship, and yes, there is an element of choice, but I feel like the trauma and the healing I had to do to go through this relationship, because of the shame, the guilt, the fear that, you know, South Asian women feel being in these relationships, having that soul connection is so special. When you find that special person, nothing else matters, and having that connection really makes you feel like that other person understands you, they get you. It's like you've known that person forever, but the only issue is they're not the same either community as you, culture as you, race. So I think having that connection really is the basis, the core of a relationship, especially an interracial relationship, because that's how people are bonded together. And like I said, the soul connection for me is where you fall in love with the soul of the person. It's not how they, yes, physical and how they look and how they behave as important factors, but I really believe you fall in love with how you are together, and I think that's such an important part of a relationship.
I would definitely agree. I wanted to touch on, if you don't mind, just for the audience, because I feel like there's a lot of people who want to do different things, like date outside of their race, but they're afraid to for whatever reason. So if you don't mind, is it possible for you to touch on some of those, things that you had to go through with your partner once you made it public? Yeah.
So for me, I wasn't going out to look for to be in an Blindian relationship, or a relationship that was someone outside my community. It happened, and when I realized it happened, there was so many negative feelings that were involved, to begin with. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna say it was all great and happy, because it wasn't. I was scared. I was very scared, because in my community, in my family, we were told from a very young age, you do not go with someone outside of our culture, our race, our community, even, you know, even the caste, it goes down to that horrible bit. I hate using that word, but it really does. And you know, but we were told, you know, you do not even think about going with black people, with Muslim people, and white people were just about like okay when I was like younger, about 17 years ago. So it was, I understand, like when people are, they fall in love, or they think about going to relationships, they can feel very hesitant because of how they've been brought up, things that they've been told. and there's still a lot of stigma around these relationships, that they're seen as wrong, or they're seen as not as good as being with people from your own community. But for me, I think it goes back to, what are you looking for in a person, and why do you want to be with that person? And again, it's that connection piece that you need. um so yeah, there is fear involved, because if your family don't accept this, or you think that they won't accept it, there's shame involved with that, guilt, because you think that you're going against what you've been told. And are you being a bad person because you're doing this?
Right.
There's a lot of inner struggle, because you've been told growing up, and you be in around your culture, that this isn't what we do, this isn't how we're supposed to carry on with our lives. But then you meet this amazing person, and you can't imagine life without them. How do you how do you navigate that struggle, that internal struggle? And unfortunately, a lot of times it turns into physical ailments,
Hmm.
physical illnesses. Stress, is a silent killer. So it becomes, people get anxiety, overwhelm, even depressed at some point, because they just don't know how they will have their family and their partner, or if they have to choose between. Because I know, some people in my family have been disowned for choosing their own partner, unfortunately. And it's a really hard battle to go through. But I think the most important thing about, when you're thinking about going to a relationship, or you're in the relationship, is, what is your why? What is your core reason for being in the relationship? Like,
It has to be. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It has to be something more. It has to be deeper than just a physical thing. When you're dating someone outside of your race, especially when you're crossing, South Asian, or, once you're crossing that line of what's acceptable, you have to make sure that your connection is so much more than anything physical or any lust or anything like that, because you're going to need that extra to get you past what's to come. And I know when we were dating, me and my wife, when we first started dating, it was so hard for us to get past that initial shock that took place once her family, found out what was going on between her and I. And it took a lot of willpower. It took a lot of understanding, a lot of patience to evolve and get past that. And it was just a beautiful thing once we were able to do that. It was a beautiful thing. And I want to ask you, is, your experience in your personal relationship with your husband, did that lead you to become a personal coach talking about this? Or was this something that you were doing already?
no. So, we're not married yet. He's my fiance. I I originally, started coaching, women for confidence. So that's why I still have confidence in my title as a coach. And I came on Instagram, and I think it was our anniversary, and I just put a picture of him and me on, saying it's our anniversary and we're celebrating. And the feedback I got from that picture was negative.
Wow.
People, yeah, that was only 2 years ago. So 2021, I want to say, or 2022, I can't remember. Yeah. Um, People saying you're brave putting that picture on your public page. How come you're sharing that on Core Confidence? Like, should you do that on your personal page? Um, just like some the comments that I did not expect. Me and my fiance have been open and like proud about our relationship for years now. Like I've said, we've been together for 17 years. So for me, it wasn't a secret. It was just not relevant to my page. That's why I'd never posted a picture of us before. These comments then started, getting me thinking, like, do people still think like this? Is this still a thing in these days? Because we got together in 2007. So for me, that felt like a lifetime ago. And I did a survey, and I got I think I got 30 responses back from people who have been in interracial relationships, or had been. And is the same thing, that they broke up because of the pressures from family. They couldn't maintain it because the family was saying that, you know it's us or them. A lot of them had no ties with their family because they chose their partner. And I was heartbroken to know that this topic is still such a massive thing in our community, and it's such a stigma still. And even people use the word taboo, which I hate, because I'm just like, it's crazy for me to think this topic is so like rampant still in this day and age.
Absolutely. So what do you think some things what do you think needs to change in order for people to be more acceptive to a Blindian relationship specifically, but in interracial relationships as a whole? What do you think needs to change as far as psychology goes or as far as thought processes?
I think what needs to change, first of all, is being more open about it. So just talking more about it. Um, for me, like reaching out and seeing people like yourself online and other people, I've seen more people talking about it. It's really nice knowing, oh, I'm not the only one that's going through this. I think the US and Canada are miles ahead of the UK. People I work with are more from abroad, so I don't know why that is, but I think people are still very reserved here, and I think you need to talk about your relationship. Even like, you don't have to tell us your whole life story, but I just think, like, I'm in this relationship and I'm happy to be in this relationship, and you don't feel so alone. Also, I think education is a massive thing because part of my coaching, I talk about intergenerational trauma and talk about like the older generations, how they came like over from India or wherever you came from, and how they had to then get into the community that they moved into, and the racism they felt, and the way that they had to like stick together and feel like, okay, that's how we're safe, so we're going to stay like that. But no, actually now we're like third generation living in this country. We want to mix with everyone, we don't want to just stay within ourselves. So it's all that education about telling them it's okay to, speak to these people, to be around these people, to even be with these people. A lot of time and patience. I think you mentioned that earlier about educating and talking about it is, I think, is very important. That's what I've had to do in my family. Talk about it a lot.
Now I know, and that's good. That's really I always praise brave souls because it takes special people to go against the grain. And I've learned that in my life, and I'm so proud of my wife for doing it because now we have a beautiful daughter, and we are happy. We have challenges like every other couple, but the fact that we were able to stand on what we believed in and kind of go through the challenges, it was worth it, I would say. So I wanted to ask you, I know you said you posted the picture and you guys were already together for 17 years, right? So those comments, did it impact your relationship with your fiance at the time, or was he strong enough to understand? Because I feel like a lot of people really don't know how they react unless they're in that situation. So how did that impact your personal relationship, if it did at all?
I think it didn't impact this at all at that time. Like I said, I think at that time we'd only been together for 15 years. That was a couple of years ago. So he's he understood. Like, when we got together, the first conversation I said to him was, I might have to leave my family to be with you. I might be disowned. I might have to lose everything to be with you. Do you understand
And
that?
how did he react to that?
And yeah, and he said, and I said, this has to be like a forever thing. It's not like a thing that I'm just going to get into and then later you're going to think, oh, actually I don't want to carry on with it. So, and he said to me, if that happens, I've got your back. We can do
Wow.
got each other. And it was that solidarity, that kind of reassurance, I think.
That security.
It's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. So for him, he's known it's going to be an uphill battle from there, because my dad, it took me 5 years to tell my parents about us in the first place.
And how was that with did your parents finally, accept him and cross over, or do they have a great relationship now?
Oh, now, yeah, they're inseparable. But like back then, it was difficult. It was it was like, I told my dad, and he kind of just didn't want to know. He was just like, "Why, you made your decision, so it's got nothing to do with me." which was heartbreaking, because I'm very close to my family and I really wanted to keep that connection, but I also wanted to keep the connection with my partner. So, but for me, it was important to tell them because at the time I'd become so physically ill. Um, Unfortunately, I've got an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis, and looking back, I think that's come from the stress of holding onto that secret of being with him, but also feeling the fear, the shame, the guilt, all of it tied up, and like not being able to speak my truth for so long. But eventually, my dad did, come to me and say, "Look, okay, let's meet him. Let's see why you want to be with him. Let's see what's so special about him." And when they did meet, it was really good. They did get on. So slowly the relationship built like that, but it does take time.
I know you felt like once they met him and they were happy and they moved on, I know you felt like everything you went through was for a purpose and you were so pleased with yourself. And I know you found some strength within that you didn't even know existed. So that whole journey, relationship wise, I know that strengthened it, tremendously. You guys grew as a couple. And I feel like not necessarily this specifically, but it's really important for couples to go through something challenging like this so you know if it's real or not. And it's unfortunate that we have to go through things like this, but at the same time, it's important to know that your relationship can stand the test of time, and the test of adversity is so important. So I'm really happy for you guys, and I'm glad it all worked out for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, like this year we're planning to finally get married, which is another topic I talk about a lot because people are shocked to know we've been together for so long but haven't got married yet, which is another thing in our culture, which girls don't do that. They're kind of like supposed to meet a guy and get married. So it's been a big learning curve. Like last year we moved to Angola, which is where he's from. We moved to Africa for a little bit, which was another learning curve, another thing that did together, which was very interesting, different. But we're back into the UK now, so yeah, it's all. I really believe that if you've got a strong foundation with your relationship, there's always going to be something coming, but you're able to ride that together because of the way you are together with your values and beliefs and your core like system together.
So exactly. So I have a question for you. Since you guys are getting married soon, what theme wedding are you guys going for, culture wise? Are you going for an African theme wedding? Are you going for a South Asian? What type of theme are you guys going for?
I So I think it's going to be heavily Indian.
Okay, that's so funny because my wife, we had an Indian wedding and an American reception, but I'm actually glad we did that. I mean, it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, so it'll be heavily Punjabi wedding, but we're gonna have like the civil bit as well, and incorporate some of his. I'm gonna try incorporate some of his culture in as well because I think that'll be nice. But yeah,
Maybe mix it up with the food a little bit.
yeah.
Well, let's see here. Real quick, I want you to let people know where they can find you on Instagram and social media. But before we do that, I want to know, is there any words of encouragement for anybody who may be in a similar situation listening to this episode? What would be some words of encouragement that you would have for them?
I would say it will feel scary, and that's inevitable. You're gonna feel scared. You're gonna feel, um, you know, a lot of negative feelings. But just remember why you're in your relationship and why you're together, why you want to be with that person. Because I always say that it's fine to have family and to have the people you love. You've grown up with them, of course, you want them around, but who's going to be there with you like 10, 20, 30 years down the line? Who do you want to build your life with? Who do you want to have children with? Who do you want to see there with you in the future? And if you can see that person there with you, then they're worth fighting for, believe me. There are so many ways that you can access help, and I wish I had that when I was going through it back in the day. But now there are so many things that you can so many people you can reach out to and so many things that you can do. So don't lose faith. Really just stick together and communicate. I think communication is so important because as long as you guys are on the same page, you both know what you want, you both are honest and open about what you want. Sometimes it's really hard to have those tough conversations. Like I said, I had to tell him right at the beginning, like, if we're doing this this really might like break up my whole family, and I had to be honest about that. And he said, you know what, I've spoken to my mom. She said, you know, if we need a place, she's got us. So have those tough conversations, be open, and keep your communication open.
Okay, perfect. Where can they find you on? Hold on, before we even go into that, I got this new little gadget. Let me see if I can get an applause for that because that was amazing. Hold on. Did you hear that? It's an applause. You'll hear you'll hear it when we edit it. Where can they find you on Instagram or social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on most social media. It's at Core Confidence. It's Kaur Confidence. My surname is Core, but I always talk about if you have your confidence at your core, you can really do anything. And I really believe that, you know, be confident in yourself and you can really conquer the world. So yeah, at Core Confidence is my handle, and my Instagram, was it TikTok, Facebook, anything. Yeah, website.
So I just want to say thank you. This has been amazing. It's been short but so informative.